Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be doing a yearly review of every camp this year. So first off, we have our January camp. Now, this was a very cold camp, and we thought it was going to be a very cloudy, dull kind of day. Thankfully, we ended up getting above the clouds, which was great as my first cloud inversion. So we started off in Seatoller, went down the valley, kind of got on the ridge and followed it up to Glaramara. And it was too foggy, so we ended up camping on Red Beck Top. For our February camp, it was quite a short walk. Again, we set off from Seatoller, went up the road a bit, and then we kind of went off the path up to a tarn called Tarn of Leaves, where we ended up setting up camp. And then we ended up leaving our bags down there and then going to the summit of Bessie Boot. Now, this was a great camp. Again, it was very cold, and for the first two camps of the year, we have been very lucky with the weather because you can just look at it and they're definitely some of the best camps we've done this year. Our March camp was probably the shortest of the year as we set off very late as I had university earlier in the day. So we ended up going up Hard Knot Pass, parking up on the side of the road, and then we ended up doing it was probably about a 40-minute walk up to the top of Hard Knot, and then we ended up going further and then just camping down there where we found some water. Not the best camp, but it was still good, to be honest. Next is our April camp. Now, this time, me and my dad were joined by my uncle and cousin. So, for this walk, we ended up going up to Hard Knot Pass again and parking up in the same place as last month. The first top we did was Harterfell. This was not the tallest mountain. It was still, it was great weather that day as well. And then after Harterfell, we went down and round to Green Crag, where we found a nice little flat spot on the side where we could set up both of our tents for the night. Next was our May camp. Now, me and my dad have camped here before. I think it was last year, 2024, around November time. But yeah, this was another great camp. It was great weather, very dry day. So we had to walk up the valley and we got to the tarn where we then kind of went round up onto Scarfell where we saw an adder, which was really cool. And then we ended up going down to Slight Side and then back round to where we already were near the tarn and camped again. Now, our June camp was probably definitely cheating. So this was the one time we brought bivy bags with us. Is obviously it's June, so we thought it was going to be warm. It was anything but warm. It was wet the whole time and far too wet to camp. So we ended up going around, climbed Great Slack, and then we decided to come back down, try and maybe find a space to camp, but we couldn't find anywhere in the end. So we ended up going down to the car park and sleeping in the tent for the night. Our July camp was probably the best camp of the year, and it was definitely the warmest. After a long walk up the valley, we ended up going round to Great End and then down to Rossett Pike, which is where we ended up staying for the night. Now, this was definitely our best camping spot because it had great views all the way down the Langdale Valley, and it was just probably some of the best weather we had had the whole year. So I'd say it's definitely one of the best camps of the year. After our very sunny camp in July, we had our August camp, which was probably one of the wettest of the year. So we ended up parking up near Grassmid in a lay-by, and the first top was Steel Fell, and then we followed the ridge round to Calf Crag, and then on the way down we did Gibson Knot, and then we went down into the valley and managed to find a flat spot to camp for the very wet night. Our September camp was again a very wet and windy camp, so we ended up leaving from Rosthwaite and we ended up going round to Brund Fell, which then we followed the ridge round to Great Crag, and then from there we ended up going down to Dock Tarn, which is where we ended up setting the tent up. It pretty much rained the whole time. It was a bit strange. We did debate camping, but we ended up just sticking with it, set the tent up, and then ended up having a wet and windy night, but in the morning it was all okay. Our October camp was another great camp. We left the car park just near Keswick and we went round up to Waller Crag. Now this has great views of Dermot Water and Keswick, and then from there we ended up going up to Bleaberry Fell. Now we were going to go and do another Wainwright, but it was far too windy up there, so we ended up going back down and sleeping in a sheepfold for the night. Now, our November camp and walk was another great walk. We set off, and our first summit was Armboth Fell, and then from there we walked over to High Tove. Now, these two are not far from each other at all. From High Tove, we then walked to High Seat, which again isn't too far, but it is a lot higher than the other two. And then on the way down, we did Raven Crag, which had beautiful views. And then on the way down, we found Field to camp in for the night. Now, our final camp of the year was our December camp, obviously. And we did this in the Langdale. So after an hour of straight uphill and getting to the tarn, we went round to Sergeant Man, then along to High Raise, down to Thundercar Knot, then to Paviark. And then we realised it was getting far too dark, far too quick. So we tried to hurry to find a camping spot, but we ended up running out of time. So we had to kind of come back up and round to the top of the Langdales, which is where we ended up staying for the night. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please check out the website for more content, and hopefully I'll see you soon.